students, I am your geography teacher Vandana Yoshi and you are watching SST 2. Students, in our today's video, we will study about the next part of the chapter, the origin and evolution of the earth, in which today we will cover about the formation of the planets, our solar system, about the formation of moon and also the evolution of the earth. So these are our today's 4 topics. So let's start our today's video with our first topic, that is the formation of the planets. As in the previous video we have studied about the nebular theory, which is the theory of the formation of the earth. So, the nebular theory is only the responsible factor due to which the planets were also formed, in which we have studied there was a gaseous cloud of some dust particles, which were later they started the friction and they started to join with each other. And then after that, as you can see, these gaseous particles, they started to attract with each other, and then after that, due to the gravitational force in between the protostar, then the particles of the dust, they mixed with the protostar and they formed the outer layers as the mantle and the crust of that protostar, due to which many planets were formed. Because the planets which were near around the solar system, means near around the sun or near around the main star, they formed as a highly dense and heavy planets. And the planets which were later formed after the means or after the solar storm, they formed later. These were the gaseous planet and they were big in size, but they were little bit lighter as compared to the planets which were formed near around the protostar. So now let's see more about the formation of the planets with the theory. The planets which were formed, there was few stages through which we can assume the formation of the planets, and these stages are divided into 3 parts. In the first stage, the stars are localized lumps of gas within a nebula. The gravitational force in the lumps leads to the formation of a core to the gas cloud and a huge rotation disk of gas and dust that started to develop around the gas core. In the next stage, the gas cloud starts getting condensed and the matter around the core, which was known as the protostar, that develops into small rounded objects. These small rounded objects, by the process of cohesion, it developed into what is called planetesimals. Larger bodies starts forming by collision and gravitational attraction causes the material to stick together, as you can see in this picture. Then after that, the planetesimal are a large number of smaller bodies. Then in the third stage, or we can say in the final stage, these large numbers of small planetesimals accrete to form a fewer large body in the form of planets. Now let's see about the formation of our solar system. There are total 8 planets which are rotating outer layer of our solar system, and one dark planet which is earlier known as the 9th planet of our solar system, but now it is known as the dark planet, which is known as Pluto. So there are, the division of the planet is into 2 parts. One is the terrestrial planets or Earth-like planets. Number 2 is the Jovian or Jupiter-like planets. In the Earth-like planets, we can include Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars. And then after that, in the Jovian or the Jupiter-like planets, we can include Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune and Uranus. And Pluto is known as the dwarf planet. Now we will see how our solar system was formed. As we know, our solar system is the gravitationally bounded system, which comprising the sun and the objects that orbit it, either directly or indirectly. Of those objects that orbit the sun directly, the largest 8 are the planets, with the remainder being significantly smaller objects, such as dwarf planets and small solar system bodies. Of the objects that orbit the Sun indirectly, the Moon, two are larger than the smaller planets Mercury. Our solar system consists of 8 planets. The nebula of our solar system started collapsing around 5 to 5.6 billion years ago, and the planets were formed about 4.6 billion years ago. Our solar system consists of 8 planets, 63 moons, millions of asteroids, comets, huge quantity of gas and dust. There are two types of planets. These are known as inner or the terrestrial planets and the outer or the Jovian or Jupiter-like planets. Now the question is that why the inner planets are rocky while other are mostly in the gaseous form, means why the earth-like planets are rocky and the outsider or the Jovian planets are the gaseous planets. Earth and Mars are called inner planet. Mercury and Venus are also there, as they lie between the Sun and the belt of asteroids and the other 5 planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are called outer planets. The first 4 are also known as terrestrial planets, as they are made up of rocks and metals and have relatively high density, and thus these are known as the Earth-like planet. The rest 5 are called Jovian or gaseous giant planets. The terrestrial planets were formed in the close vicinity of the parent star, where it was too warm for gases to condense to solid particles. Jovian planets were formed at quite a distance locations, and the solar wind was most intense nearer the sun, so it blew off lots of gases and dust from the terrestrial planets. The solar wind were not all that intense to remove the gases from the Jovian planets. Here are the details of our solar system, in which we can see the density, distance, radius and satellites of all the planets which are included in the solar system, in which the planets are started from Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. Now let's see how the formation of moon has been done. Here we can say one theory is behind the formation of moon, that is known as the Big Split theory, and the theory has been discovered by Sir George Darwin. And in that theory they suppose that after the formation of earth there was a big blast in the earth, and then after that one part was separated from earth, and then after that that part was started to orbit near around the earth and then changed into the moon. And then after that, due to that theory, we can say the moon is a splitted part of our earth. And here we can see how the formation of moon has been done. As we know, the moon is an astronomical body that orbits planet Earth, being Earth's only permanent natural satellite, is the 5th largest natural satellite in the solar system and the largest among the planetary satellites relating to the size of the planet that it orbits. Following Jupiter's satellite, Lo, the Moon is second densest satellite among those whose densities are known. In 1838, Sir George Darwin suggested that initially the Earth and the Moon formed a single rapidly rotating body. The whole mass became a dumbbell shaped body and eventually it broke. The material separated from the earth was formed as moon and the place became the Pacific Ocean from where the moon was splitted. It is not accepted now. The present theory is the giant impact theory, or we can say the big splat theory. A large sized body of Mars collided with the Earth and that protein was separated from the Earth. The same protein became as a moon which revolves around the Earth. And according to the theory, the moon was formed about 4.4 billion years ago, whereas the formation of Earth was completed around 4.6 billion years ago. Now let's see what was the evolution of the Earth. We know that our Earth is developed in the layered structure in which the first protostar is known as the core or the mixture of nickel and ferrous. In the second one, the second layer is known as the mantle, which is also known as the silica and magnesium mixture or known as the sima. And the first layer, which is also known as the crust, it is the mixture of silica and aluminium. So these are the three layers or the main layers, whereas many other layers are also partially divided in the evolution of the Earth. Here we can say the planet Earth earlier was initially a barren, rocky and hopped object with a thick layer of atmosphere of hydrogen and helium. We shall try to find out what led to the evolution of life on the surface of the Earth. The Earth has a layered structure from the outermost end of the atmosphere to the center of the Earth. The material is not uniform. In the subsequent evolution, Earth formed around 4.54 billion years ago by accretion from the solar nebula. And we can say the density of Earth was increased because it was the nearer part of the inner planets. Here, the first layer of the Earth is known as the lithosphere. So, for the human life, the first formation was there of the lithosphere. Now let's see how the evolution of lithosphere has been done. In the evolution of lithosphere, there was violated state during its primordial stage or the primary stage due to high density temperature increased. And then after that the material started separating depending on their density. Light material came outside and heavy material went inside the earth. And the heavy material was made up of the heavy metal and the lighter material was made up of silica and aluminum, which we will study in our next chapter, the interior of our earth. Here the cooled and the condensed into a solid which is called lithosphere or the first layer of our earth in which the human beings are surviving. At the time of formation of the moon, the earth again became hot and due to the heating, the metals which were in the inner layer of the earth started to melt and due to which the differentiation and the different layers were formed inside our earth. After the formation of our earth and the lithosphere was formed, then the evolution of atmosphere and the hydrosphere also has been completed. Now let's see how in the different stages our atmosphere and the hydrosphere has been formed. In the first stage, the early atmospheric consists of hydrogen and helium. Loss of primordial atmosphere due to the solar wind. Then after, in the second stage, gases were released from the Earth's interior such as water vapors and other gases. There were water vapors, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia and little free oxygen. The process of outpouring the gases from the interior of the earth is called disgassing. And then after that, the volcanic eruptions contributed the water vapors and carbon dioxide. In that, the carbon dioxide dissolved in the rainwater and converted into acidic rain. Rainwater collected into the depressions collected oceans. Then after that, the oceans were formed about 4,000 million years ago. The life began to evolve about 3.8 billion years ago, and then the photosynthesis evolved about 2,500 to 3,000 million years ago. Oceans also formed and they began to contribute oxygen to the atmosphere. Oxygen was saturated with the oceans and flooded into the atmosphere. And at the last, in the third stage, the living organism changed the composition of the atmosphere due to the photosynthesis, and then after that, the origin of life was started in our earth. The modern scientists refer to the origin of life as a kind of chemical reaction which first generated complex organic molecules and assembled them. This assemblage was such that they duplicate themselves, converting inanimate matter into living substances. Here, the last phase is also known as the origin of life. In that, the earth leads to the origin and evolution of life. It is clear that initially the earth or even the atmosphere of the earth was not conducive for the development of life. Modern scientists are defining that the first single cell animals, which were the combination of the organic molecules, where they are able to convert inanimate things into animate things. The earliest form of the life existed from 3,000 million years ago. So here we can say the life began on the earth about 3,800 million years ago. Now students, here a geological time scale is also provided to you, in which you can see the different stages of the life events, in which the time zone is divided into the eons, era, period, epoch, and then after that age, years, or the before present. Then after that, in which eons or in which age or years the life was formed. First, which was formed, it has mentioned from downward, it is origin of the universe, and then after that around 10,000 years ago, it was the formation, or we can say evolution of human life is there. Students, here the chapter The Origin and Evolution of the Earth is complete. Now I am providing you some interesting fact about the origin and evolution of the Earth. and some other theories which are related to the evolution of the earth. In the next video, we will study about the interior of the earth. And for that, keep watching SST Joule.